This and plenty more, including the government's effort to drive contractors and labour hire companies out of the Australian marketplace. I'm joined by the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry's Chief Executive, Andrew McKellar. Andrew, always good to chat to you on the program. Let's just start on that Inflation Reduction Act from the United States. It does offer opportunities for many Australian companies and businesses, innovators in particular, in clean energy, but importantly in critical minerals.
Well, that's right, Ross. So I think it's good news. What we've seen over the weekend, the discussions between the Prime Minister and President Biden, it looks as though the American administration is prepared to open that opportunity up, that Australian companies can be part of what's coming through there. A big opportunity, of course. This is not just something that is a challenge for the United States or for Australia, it's for the world. We have a lot of critical minerals capability. We have emerging technologies in that space. So really, I think it's important that Australian companies have the opportunity to bring that to bear.
And let's speak plainly here, because this is about taking the reliance of the United States, its military, but also even the whole energy transition off a reliance on China. And really that's what it's all about, because Australia has those minerals, it just doesn't have the processing.
Absolutely. And so we are an important part of the supply chain here. We can develop additional capabilities, but I think it's very important that what's happening in the US, that they are sharing that with their trading partners and with their allies. So I think it's a win-win opportunity.
Okay, so at the same time that is an incredible incentive for business here in Australia, you have BHP in the past day or so saying that there is a disincentive that's taken place, that it believes it's going to add something like $1.3 billion to its wages bill on an annual basis as a result of the government trying to get rid of contractors, trying to get rid of labour hire companies out of the Australian marketplace. I mean, this is not going to affect just big businesses like BHP, but even down to very small companies as well.
Look, right across the board. And look, business is deeply concerned. The government is signalling it's going to bring forward a raft of changes to workplace relations arrangements in the second half of the year. One of those things, of course, will be around things like labour hire, placing restrictions on that, but it also extends to areas like independent contracting, impacting potentially tradies, people who are running their own small business, trying to sweep them up in employee-like conditions. That's something that we're very worried about, and as well, things like casual employment. So, look, this is something that will be one size fits all. We are worried that it will impose greater costs on business, less flexibility. Those higher costs have got to go somewhere. They are either going to have to be absorbed or passed through to consumers. If that's the case, the risk is it adds to inflation and the risk that we see higher interest rates in the longer term as well.
Well, the legislation colloquially known as same job, same pay, just explain to people who won't perhaps understand, why is it that you may pay a labour hire company, a worker there, less money than you would pay a worker who is coming through as a full-time employee? What's the difference, and why would a person want to do that?
Look, it's fundamentally about flexibility, and what you're looking at here is a labour hire company. They are able to make all those employment arrangements, take on the costs to actually employ people, provide for their entitlements, but then to take the labour to where the demand is. So it's supply meeting the demand. Now, if you're operating a major project or a seasonal project, then the demand that you have, the number of positions that you have, can change from time to time. So there might be demand for the next 12 months, but less after that. So you want the flexibility without having to take people on and then retrench them later. And it's providing that flexibility, ensuring that we can keep more people in better jobs for longer. That's all, that's supporting the strength of the economy.
In other words, what you're saying is any business is like a piano accordion. It's either growing or it's shrinking. It's very rarely the same all of the time, which is the reason why having a flexible workforce is more important. One final one before I let you go, and that is the Victorian budget today. And one of the costs, it says, of getting rid of its COVID debt is to increase taxes on business. One of those is on payrolls. Anybody with a payroll of more than $10 million per year is now going to pay significantly higher payroll tax. Is that a progressive thing to do to encourage business to come to your state?
Well, no, it's not. I think it's deeply concerning. Obviously, they're walking a very fine line. They have a fragile budget position, but I think the really worrying thing here is if we're going to be imposing additional taxes on business, on people trying to create jobs, the risk is, of course, that we'll do more damage to the economy, and that's not something that we want to see in any state in Australia.
Does it mean that businesses will shop around between states to figure out where they set up new operations?
Well, that's always occurring, and there's a lot of competition between states. So I think it's a worrying situation if Victoria's in a circumstance where they are now increasing things like payroll tax and land tax. That's going to make that state harder to do business in, and harder to employ people in, and that's not a good thing.
Andrew McKellar, always good to have you in the program. Many thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Ross.